Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming this look, which happens to be the look that I wore on my birthday a few weeks back. It was created using a few new products to my beauty collection, including Anastasia Beverly Hills Master Palette by Mario. And also I give you two lip options in this tutorial, a nude lip and more of a darker lip. I hope you guys enjoy it. I started off by prepping my skin with Kiehl's Micro Blur Skin Perfector, which is a silicone based primer, and you can see that I'm predominantly applying that to my porous regions, which is kind of either side of my nose and my forehead. And then I'm going in with Anastasia Beverly Hills Foundation Stick, which is another new product, and I'm using the shade Warm Natural. And on the right side of my face I am using a damp beauty blender to blend it in, and as you can see the coverage is really light and really natural. You can definitely still see my skin showing through, and you know, you can see my freckles and everything. So if you like lightweight foundations, then this might be one to investigate. I did go over some of the areas that needed a little bit more coverage, like around my nose and areas where I have pigmentation, and it seemed to build fine. On the left side of my face I'm using a buffing brush just to kind of see what the difference is, and I couldn't really tell too much, to be honest with you. I did notice that it emphasized a tiny bit of dryness around my nose, so I went in with a beauty blender to remedy that. For my brows I'm going in with none other than Anastasia Beverly Hills' Brow Wiz. Disclaimer, this isn't a sponsored video. After combing my brows with the spoolie end, I go in with the waxy pencil side and start to kind of draw in or mimic my brows, just to beef them up a little bit and give them a little bit more shape. Then to set the brows in place and to give them a little bit more added definition, I'm going in with Loreal's Brow Artist Plumper and just combing them through. To prep my eyelids ready for eyeshadow, I'm just going to take a little bit of Urban Decay's Naked Skin Concealer and swipe the tiniest amount across the lids. And to set that in place and make a blending eyeshadow a little bit more easier, I'm going in with Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, and I'm using the shade 2 Medium. Now time for the start of the show, and this is the limited edition Master Palette by Mario, and this is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm first going to start off with the shade Marina, which is a really white rose gold. It has a strong element of pearlescent sheen running through it, and as a lid color it will really reflect the light beautifully. On the outer corners I am going in with the shade NYC, which is more of a warm reddish metallic brown, and as you can see I'm building it on the outer third of the eye and only taking it as far as the outer crease. I hope you can see just how richly pigmented and easy to work with these shadows are. Then I'm mixing the two shades Lula and Isabel, which are both matte tones. One is slightly more of a cool tone neutral taupey shade, and the other is a much more warm muted orange, and together they just make a really neutral tone and a lovely transition color. And I'm applying that into the crease, and as you can see I'm just building the color up nice and slowly. And I'm actually using the dual-ended brush that comes with the palette. Then to start to smoke out the look, I'm going to go in with the other matte shade in the palette, and it's called Violetta, and it is a dark warm brown. And I'm taking that on the other side of the dual-ended brush, which happens to be a bit more smaller and more dense, and I'm applying that right on the outer part of the eye, doing a kind of outer V shape, so along that lash line, and then extending it to the outer corners of the eyes and then dragging it back into the crease, but I'm not taking it too far in, and then I just start to build up this color until I get to the depth that I want it to be. And as always I like to go back in with the same brush that I used to apply the transition shades and make sure that darker matte brown shade is well blended in with the transition shade, so everything is a bit more smooth and seamless. And whenever there's a lot of blending involved, sometimes you lose the intensity of the eyeshadow that you have on your lids. So here I'm going back in with the shade Marina and just reapplying it just to kind of build up that intensity again. And then to line my top lash line and really make my eyes pop, I'm going to go in with Colourpop's gel eyeliner in Swerve, which is just your basic black. and I'm running it really tightly along that lash line, especially when I get to the inner corner. The line is really thin and only marginally wider when I get to the very end, and I'm also using that to tightline my waterline as well. And because I wanted a really defined kitten flick, I'm going in with Kat Von D's tattoo liner in Trooper. The brush tip on this is really great for achieving a precise and defined flick. Then I'll give my lashes a quick curl before going in with Too Faced Better Than Sex waterproof mascara. If you have fine, short, straight Asian lashes like I do, then this is a godsend. Then I'm going to apply my lashes off screen before going in with the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Illumination Full Coverage Anti-Aging Concealer. You can probably tell from my face how thick this product is, and I use the tiniest amount. So here I am frantically trying to blend that out evenly with my damp beauty blender. I have to admit, I think this shade, even though it's medium, might be a pinch too light for me. Then going back in with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless powder, I'm just going to set that concealer. And I've got to say, this powder and the concealer are both also new products to my beauty collection, and this powder is absolutely brilliant. It is so undetectable. You can build and build and build, but you actually cannot see a thing other than your skin just kind of looks flawless and mattified. And here's another kind of oldie but a goodie. It's an old formulation, but it's in a new shade. It's the Nars Creamy Radiant Concealer, but in the newer shade Macadamia, which is perfect for me because I'm kind of in between the shade Custard and Ginger. So Macadamia kind of fills that gap in nicely, and I've used that to cover any of the redness and blemishes on my skin, which is kind of still peeking through. Then using the Charlotte Tilbury powder again, I am just setting all that concealer work in place. And then I'm just going to sweep a little bit of the RMCA No Colour powder across my cheeks before I go in with contouring, and this is just going to give it a nice, smooth, even surface. The contour powder I'm using here is Makeup Geek's contour powder in the shade Infidelity, and I am literally starting in the I'm starting in the hollows of my cheek and building that colour up, and then I start to kind of buff upwards, taking the powder up to the temples, but also kind of down the jawline as well. Whether it's with a contour powder or a bronzer or both, I always like to sculpt my face just to make it look less round than it is. Then taking an ever so small amount on a much smaller brush, I'm running that contour powder along either side of my nose and the round part of my nose as well, and then smoothing it out with my finger just to kind of trick the eye into thinking my nose is a little bit slimmer. I'm using all the tricks in the book here. Then going in with the Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion, I'm gonna fake that bronze goddess glow and take that across the cheeks and the high points of the face, so across the hairline, the nose, and also down the neck as well. Just make sure the face and body looks part of one and the same body essentially. Then I'm going in with one of my all-time favorite blushes, and this is the Tarte Amazonian Clay blush in the shade Exposed. Time to oomph up this look, and I'm pulling out Champagne Pop from the Champagne Collection Face Palette by Jaclyn, Kiehl and Becca, and I'm applying Champagne Pop highlighter to the tops of my cheekbone for that extra added glow. And I'm extending that to kind of the tops of the brow as well, just to make it look a bit natural, like where the light naturally bounces off the face. But yeah, there's nothing really natural about this really. Then I'm going in with the damp beauty blender again, just to smooth over the powdered surface, just to make it look less powdery and a bit more seamless. Then moving back to the eyes, I'm applying the shade Marina to the lower lash line, 2/3 of the way, starting from the inner corner, and taking the shade NYC and applying that to the remaining outer third. And because I felt like it needed some extra added definition to balance out the top lash line, I'm going in with Colourpop's gel pencil in Swerve and just applying that to the outer quarter to third of the bottom lash line, and then using the shade Violetta, I'm smoking that pencil out just to make it a little bit more soft. Then I'm just finishing off that bottom lash line with a little bit of the Too Faced Better Than Sex waterproof mascara. Then, not to neglect the inner corners, I'm going to take a very small amount of Champagne Pop highlighter and apply that to the very inner corners of the eyes, and take an even smaller amount and just sweep it on the brow bone under the arch of the brow. Then moving on to my first lip choice, which is the lip color I actually end up wearing on the day. I'm starting off with lining my lip with the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Pillow Talk before going in with Chanel Coco Rouge in the shade Adrienne, which has fast become one of my all-time favorite nude lipsticks. It's such a forgiving formula and it just feels incredible on the lips. Then to finish everything off, I'm going in with Makeup Forever's Mist and Fix Setting Spray. And this is the look with lip option number 1. I actually wore a nude lip because I was out in the daytime celebrating my birthday, but I actually wanted to wear a dark lip, and I would have done if I was out in the evening. So this is the lip I would have worn. It's Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipstick in their full shade called Allison, which is a kind of mauve-y pinky plum shade. It's not too dark, but I think it's a really, really pretty colour for this time of year. What lip do you like best? Let me know in the comments below. The foundation definitely gets a thumbs up from me for a light to medium base with a natural matte finish. And I absolutely love the eyeshadow palette. If you haven't seen the review of the eyeshadow palette I did recently, then there should be a link to the video in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!